Hi, I'm Carol Fink. Today we're going to talk about ice harvesting in the greater West Bloomfield area. I'll read some of the words from Ron Hansen, who did ice harvesting with his grandfather and father on our local lakes. In West Bloomfield, Robert Hansen and his son harvested ice from Orchard Lake and Pine Lake during the winter. Ice harvesting was only performed about 4 weeks a year, typically in the coldest month of January. The first part of ice harvesting was to select an ice field on the lake. The clearest, most solid ice came from the sandy bottom, shallow areas with a slow moving current. Murky ice that contained air pockets was not suitable for refrigeration. Just like field crops, ice fields had to be tended. Workers would begin the cultivation process when the ice on the lake was a mere 4 inches thick. After each snowfall, the snow had to be scraped off of the ice because snow made for undesirable ice. Scraping was done using special plows called scrapers pulled by horses fitted with special shoes to avoid slipping on the ice. Also, workers would frequently drill a hole through the top of the ice and allow it to freeze when the water would rise up. This process was repeated several times during the growing season because it produced a very clear, solid ice. Once again, when the ice was ripe, about 14 to 16 inches thick, the workers would scrape the ice from the ice one more time. When the field was cleared, the horses were hitched to the ice markers. The ice markers scored parallel grooves in the ice, and the grooves were then cut deeper using horse-drawn ice plows. Workers would finish cutting through the ice with an ice saw. They would float the ice, cut ice into a wooden ramp onto the shore, and then onto a sledge. The horse-drawn sledge would haul ice to the ice houses, where it was carefully packed in sawdust or peat moss for insulation. The Hansens had at least two ice houses in West Bloomfield, one on Airline Drive and another on the southeast corner of Green Lake and Pontiac Trail. They also filled several private and commercial ice houses, including hotels and resorts located on Orchard Lake and Pine Lake, as well as the Pine Lakes Country Club Ice House. This stored, harvested ice was sold throughout the summer months to area businesses, and residents may have even loaded it on train cars and shipped to Detroit for the meat processing industry. Prior to modern day refrigeration, ice was the only means to keep perishable groceries cold and fresh. Instead of refrigerators, family had an ice box in their kitchen. These were metal lined boxes, wooden boxes, with a compartment for groceries and a separate section for a large block of ice. Ice delivery was done on a daily, regular basis. The delivery man would begin his day with several blocks weighing up to 300 pounds. At each stop, the iceman would chop off a smaller block depending on the customer's needs. Ice chips were given the children, who would sometimes add flavoring and enjoy as a winter treat. This is our ice saw, used many times out on our local lakes to cut the ice. At the Orchard Lake Museum, we have a fine collection of some ice tools. This one here is called the ice tongs. This was used for lifting the large blocks of ice out of the water onto one of the sleds. And it was also used by the iceman to deliver large blocks of woods to people's homes. Ice tongs. So when you see our, that smells like shit. Horses needed special equipment also for ice harvesting. Their horseshoes were designed with extra pieces of metal that was soldered on the bottom to serve as like studs or snow tires to help them so they wouldn't slip on the ice. So, time to sit back and relax. We're going to show you animated video and some historic videos about ice harvesting. Grab a glass of water with some cold ice cubes to get the feeling, or a nice warm cup of hot cocoa. There'll be time for questions and answers later. Thank you for visiting today. Have a great day.
You're watching a segment of The Splash, Greater West Bloomfield's news magazine show.
Today you can pick up a bag of ice almost anywhere, from the corner gas station to the grocery store. But back in the late 19th century, ice was pretty hard to come by, making it a valuable commodity. Here in West Bloomfield, though, ice harvesting was a rather common and popular business, as The Splash's Lawrence Nyland explains.
New technology comes at us so fast that it's easy to forget the origins that paved the way for our modern way of life. Recently at the Orchard Lake Museum, an exhibit was held to make sure we remember the efforts of many former local residents who braved the cold elements to ensure that Metro Detroit was able to safely keep perishable groceries fresh. The process was known as ice harvesting.
For modern-day refrigerators, household refrigerators, people had no means of keeping their food. My grandfather and his kids, my dad and uncles, went out on the local lakes, cut ice, stored it in the summer in ice houses. It was packed in sawdust to insulate it during the summer months, and then in the summer they sold it to residents, hotels.
At the peak of ice harvesting, Detroit was in its bustling heyday, and Orchard and Pine Lakes were vital cogs to the big city's success.
There was a train station here in West Bloomfield, and some of the ice was sold to meat processing plants in downtown, because downtown you couldn't really, it was hard because Detroit River, they didn't make good ice because it's fast flowing, and it's very unstable and doesn't freeze real early. So a lot of these lakes, because there isn't much of a current, froze earlier and made better ice.
Have you ever tried to get someone's attention and they just ignored you? Well, that's what's called getting the cold shoulder. And interestingly, that phrase's origin derives from ice harvesting.
The icemen would carry the ice on their shoulder, and if somebody wanted to talk to them, they wouldn't stop and talk because they'd get a cold shoulder. So that's where the term giving somebody a cold shoulder came from.
Reporting for The Splash, this is Lawrence Nyland.
Thanks, Lawrence, and thanks also to the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society for providing that unique demonstration for us. And to see more of our township's ice-related history, you can visit civiccentertv.com/ice harvesting. Thanks for watching a segment of The Splash. To catch the entire show or other segments, watch us on Comcast Channel 15 or AT&T Channel 99, or look us up online at thesplash.tv and listen to us on WBLD 89.3, the all-new Lakes FM.
Hey, I'm Chris Troy, host of St. Clair County RISA's Moment in History, and I'm here at the Knowlton Ice Museum of North America in downtown Port Huron. Now, before refrigeration, all ice that was used by Americans came from the lakes and rivers that were located in northern climates. The Port Huron area, with its many inland lakes and river, became an important source for providing ice to the large commercial ice suppliers located in Detroit and Toledo. Rail lines that were located next to the river allowed huge blocks of ice weighing up to 300 pounds to be transported to major cities. Ice harvesting was one of the 10 largest industries in the United States at the time. After all, 90% of households had an ice box by 1900, so the need for fresh ice daily created a big business. It wasn't uncommon to see the Iceman delivering ice 3 times a week to homes and businesses in urban and rural areas. The window to harvest ice was a short one, usually beginning in December and ending in late March. At first, ice harvesting was done by hand by farmers, usually harvesting just enough for themselves and their families. Soon, the use of horses began. Now, horses were able to pull large ice cutters, making the task twice as fast. In later years, small gasoline-powered saws were used. Natural ice was shipped all over the world by horse, train, and boat. It was also used for transporting meats and vegetables. The Great Lakes were an important resource for harvesting ice, because up until the 20th century, the lakes were closed to shipping in the winter months, allowing the lakes to freeze over. The ice from the Great Lakes was superior to any other ice that was harvested from ponds or rivers because it was much harder and clear, bringing better money to the harvesters. Ice was stored all winter by being wrapped in burlap and straw and housed in buildings that were constructed out of thick solid timbers or stone. Ice houses dotted the lake and river and pond throughout northern states. The ice was then uncovered in the spring and sold throughout the summer months. Once the Industrial Revolution began, the pollution it produced, along with the move towards electricity, killed the natural ice industry. Today, the harvesting of ice is a thing of the past and has been replaced with the use of artificially produced ice. For Moment in History Extra, hey, I'm Chris Troy, reminding you that history lives in all of us.
Thank you for watching. Please support Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society efforts at gwbhs.org. Thank you.